Hey, it's Jacob Givens, and you're listening to Tom and Zeus on Shout It Out Loudcast. We're just rocking out and going back to the dorm days and listening to the best music ever from the 90s.
And reports tonight on how destruction is impacting the campus community.
Names of O'Hara Hall, Skid Row, T-Zone, Banff.
Badass motherfuckers.
Somph, sit on my face.
Drinking like fucking ass pre-gaming, as we call it. What is this dorm damage bill on our tuition statement?
Dorm damage?
Well, we only broke like 3 chairs and 4 desks this month.
Is that a positive thing? Bam! That's right. We're back with another episode of Dorm Damage, the show where anything and everything is on the table and the table gets smashed. This is episode 115, and we're very excited to welcome back our friend and Shout It Out Loudcast Hall of Famer, author extraordinaire, the great James Campion. He'll be joining us in a few minutes, Zeus, but for right now, it's just me and you.
Yeah, I'm excited because we get to be serious people.
We get to speak with a journalist.
Which is always the funniest thing, because when we talk to James, we and you are always like, dude, I can't believe like he's on a show, and like before he came on, we were talking about bubble farts in like stupid stuff.
But he's got a sense of humor. He gets it. He's got a humor.
Yes. And he comes on and he actually enjoys letting loose. I always say maturity is knowing when you need to be mature.
100%. Yeah.
I'm not in front of the school board asking
right.
for a grant and being like, don't you think Gene's cod piece is a little too big on Dynasty Tour?
Well, welcome to the PTO meeting, George. Yeah. What do you guys think about putting in a new hoop for the kids? Like, we're not doing that. Like, I work in corrections. Do you think I walk around talking about whatever? I mean, sometimes I do, but you're right. It's a perfect way to put it. Maturity is knowing when to be mature.
Yeah.
It's perfect.
And about on Friday, we put a little surprise snack in the kids' school lunches.
We got a budget meeting here, Mr. Fraley. You'd like to chime in? This isn't even a Kiss episode.
All right, we're gonna get that. Without further ado, here's our buddy James.
So this week we're welcoming to Dorm Damage our good friend and author extraordinaire. You've heard him talk about Kiss many times with his amazing book, Shout It Out Loud, The Making of Destroyer. But this time, he's got a brand new book about one of my all-time favorites, and we can't wait to talk to him about it. The book is called Revolution, Prince, the Band, the Era. It is the great James Campion joining us again. James,
dude, you fucked up again. You fucked up.
What did I do?
He's a Hall of Famer, dude.
God damn it!
You're insulting all our guests, Tom.
It's true.
You want to know what I'll be honest with you. It's a combination of me forgetting and me being worried that our guests are embarrassed to be in the Shout It Out Loudcast Hall of Fame.
Okay.
I'm waiting for my hardware. I want some hardware so I can show it off.
We're going to have trophies. It's going to be a gold middle finger. That's going to be the trophy.
Yeah.
But anyways, you're here, my friend, and you are a Hall of Famer, as you should be.
I am.
So welcome. So the book, Revolution, Prince, the Band, the Era. I know you've been talking about this for a really long time, and I'm super jacked because I love Prince.
Thank you.
And we love you. So let's just get right into it. Talk to us about how this became your next project, and just let's get into it.
Sure. Well, I grew. The one thing about Prince that's different than the other subjects that I tackled is that I remember Kiss, but as a kid. So I wrote that book with the wide-eyed vision and nostalgia of what it was like in the 70s. And then, of course, you do the research, you interview Bob Ezrin and everybody, then you put it together, the story. For Zevon, I discovered him when he was big, but he was big for like 15 minutes, right, in 1978. And then the rest of the time, he'd come in and out of my transom, but I followed it. And, of course, I was only like 5 years old when Hey Jude came out. So it's not like I have vivid – I don't remember when the Beatles played Ed Sullivan, none of that stuff. Yeah. But Prince was right smack in my 20s, my late teens, 20s, and I remember the way people talk about the Beatles, every record that came out. and what we thought of it, and we couldn't wait to dissect it and how different it was from the last one and how he broke norms, but he was a pop artist like the Beatles. You know, I always heard that from people who grew up in the 60s. 60s is the best. 60s were the best. And then you have someone who's doing exactly what you read about with the Beatles, which was they had hits, but they also broke barriers. They changed the paradigm of music in many, many ways. And his hybrid style of combining funk and soul and black music with rock and new wave and quote unquote white music and doing it flawlessly. So when I approached the book from that standpoint, I wanted to dive back into that because when Prince died, I wrote his eulogy for the Aquarian Weekly. And when I read back at it like a couple of months later, because I just whipped it off right after I heard, I realized I was writing about the 80s a lot. Because what I was doing is I was sort of mourning my youth. And when someone who was big when you're younger passes, you know, you just mourn, like recently Ozzy. People remember the first time they heard Black Sabbath or went to their first show and all those things. It's like parts of you kind of die. So I wanted to bring that back by writing the book. And then finally, Tom and Zeus, I wrote it because the older I get, the younger people are. And I say that all the time, and people look at me like I got three heads. But think about this.
No, it makes sense.
Teenagers now, they don't know anything about stuff I just thought people would know about forever.
Yeah.
I just thought you could say The Clash to somebody, and they'd be like, yeah, The Clash. But you say that to like a 16-year-old kid or a 20-year-old young person, and they're like, wait a minute, what?
Yep.
And so people don't realize in the mid-'80s how huge and influential and all the things I just said about Prince was. So I thought it needed to be written, and that's why I did it.
Yeah, I know. Real quick, Zeus, before you ask, I just want to comment on how teenagers don't know stuff. I find that I know, especially with me and Zeus and our kids. My son's 21. Zeus has a teenage daughter. I find that it's the work of the parents to do. You would think with streaming and Spotify that it would be easier for the kids, but I think it's more difficult because music is so fragmented now. Nobody listens to albums anymore. Nobody knows who sings what song. They're like, that sounds good. Who is that? I have no idea. But growing up, I was surrounded by music by my parents. I knew bands, I knew albums, I knew artists, and I did the same thing with my son. I mean, even when I was driving to school, I used to have satellite radio and put on different channels. And he'd be like, well, what's this? And is this good? I'd be like, well, yeah. Is this good? Yeah. Well, do you have this? Have you seen these guys in concert? Who is the? And now I'm going to. I mean, just this summer alone, I've seen with my son. I've seen Metallica, Kiss, Tyler the Creator, Kendrick Lamar. Like all these different artists, and he loves everything, new stuff, old stuff in between. And he knows who Prince is. He loves Prince. He knows who the Clash is. He's not really a punk guy, but I'm proud as a parent that my 21-year-old son knows this stuff. Right. But it takes work. And I know that not every kid has that relationship with their parents. I know Zeus does the same thing with his daughter when he's driving in the car.
No, my kid listens to only my shit.
Yeah.
Well, that's the thing, right? Yeah, if you're driving, we have a rule in our family: you're driving, you play the music.
Yes.
But it's not fair because for kids to know what happened in the 80s, that's not important. Like when we were growing up, it was our stuff that we dug. I mean, we got inundated with 60s. You got to listen to the 60s stuff, man. That's the cool stuff. And I know Zeus and I both love Elvis, and we've talked about that many times, but I got into that later on. I have no memory. The only memory I have of Elvis is the sequined, bodysuit, Las Vegas Elvis. And some people like that. I'm just saying when you're 19, 18, 20 years old, you don't care about that. So I totally forgive kids who have they know who Prince is, but not really. That's why I love writing these books. Yeah. It's they're histories, but they are living histories. It matters. They can still listen, like you said, they can go on Spotify and listen to the music, but there's so much more to be said about the impact these people had on the culture. Yeah.
Yeah. My memory of Elvis is that he's my first memory my brother going to kindergarten. So I'm like 3, 4. Elvis died. And I remember kids laughing about him dying in a toilet and telling jokes. Right. I mean, like, I remember that. And I'm like, that's August of 77. I'm born June of 73. Like, wait a minute. I remember, but I remember that. Yeah. And that's an impact. But when you come to Prince, okay, the first thing that comes to mind, I didn't hear his earlier stuff, but is Little Red Corvette in MTV. That was the first impact I ever had of him. But the one thing I like, Prince is just something you just always heard. He was just on the radio. You liked him. Him, Madonna, Cyndi Lauper, Michael Jackson. This was the pop stuff and MTV stuff that was in your face. But the one thing about Prince over the years that I learned, and though I might not get into his music or anything like that, is that he is one of those limited people that you put up there and say, that guy is a musical genius, one way or the other. I've put people like Brian Wilson up there. I put Smokey Robinson up there. Guys that can write, perform, dance, sing, do you name it. They've got so much talent in them. I find the same thing is said about Prince. Did it surprise you doing your research of the incredible stories I can only imagine that you amassed, hearing about the brilliance of what he can do in a studio, on stage, live, you name it? Did anything come at you that you didn't know that really surprised you?
Sure. Yeah. And that's the beauty of doing these things. You know, I always say that a book reveals itself to you. You start off with a thesis, you have an idea, and then all of a sudden, you know, you start to learn things, and that's the beauty of it. You become intellectually curious about everything, you know, that has to do with this subject that you're diving into. The one thing that I found that just kicked my butt every time was how prolific he was and how relentless he was. There were points for about I can't even say a 2 or 3 year period. It's almost like all the time. This guy was writing music, performing music, rehearsing music, or, you know, everything music. And he ran through engineers, 10-hour sessions, 15-hour sessions. He'd get the band together. 8-hour run-throughs, 10-hour. They would run through the same song for 2 hours. He was relentless. He had no other interest. That's it. He just wanted to make music all the time. And that floored me. And, you know, my niece is a singer-songwriter now, and she's my target audience, 22, going to be 23 next year, and loves all kinds of music. And when she read it, she's like, it's incredible. I can't even imagine. And on top of him doing all this, guys, he's writing all the music for The Time. And he's writing all the music for Vanity 6. And he's recording all of it. And then he puts them on the road and rehearses all of them, including the Revolution stuff and his own stuff. That's what really floored me. His insatiable need to constantly create. And as people who do, like you guys, you do this podcast all the time, you know it can wear you down. And yet, he was younger than us. Yeah. But he kept it going until his final days. He was relentless. But during this period, everybody around him said it. He was just constantly on fire. So that's one thing that telling these stories, when you read it, you're like, holy mackerel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I've been a Prince fan, a little different kind of a Prince fan than Zeus, where I got into him through MTV, but my sister's 4 years older than me. Got into it with a 1999 album. Then we kind of explored like some of his earlier stuff, like the Dirty Mind album was kind of weird. And then of course Purple Rain comes over and takes over the world, and then so on and so on. And I was blessed enough to see Prince in concert in 2004. I put it right there. The best shows I've ever seen were a couple of Kiss shows and Prince, and then everybody else is over here. But to talk about what you said, James, so I'm sure I as an author who wrote a book about Prince, I'm sure you know this book, you read it, you might even know the author, but Dwayne Tudall's book about Prince, the Purple Rain studio sessions, I bought that, I think 2 or 3 years ago. I read that, and I was I knew, we all know that he's like a musical genius and that he can write and sing and play every instrument and everybody knows his guitar, but he is like a mad scientist. It's like you said, he can't not create. Like he would be in the studios, like by himself, like just, you kind of see like when you think of like those like Universal horror movies, like almost like a guy in a laboratory, just like, leave me alone. I'm creating something.
Yeah.
And I think it's funny too, because if you go on Spotify and you look at his discography, he has so much material, it's almost impossible to even keep up with his output of music. And I think he even he admits, he's like, yeah, not all this is great, but I'm just going to put it out there. You decide what you like and what you don't like. Because later on, he did start to he was still making albums, but let's be serious. Some of the stuff he just started to really just veer off and to branch off and just crazy stuff, right?
Yeah. I mean, that was the beauty of him, too. He never, ever stopped pushing boundaries. He never sat on his laurels and just said, well, I'm good at this, so I'm going to do this. There was always a wonderful, sexy ballad on every record. There was always a real cool, down and dirty funk tune on a record. And he always gave you something. Even in records that were uneven, there was always something in there going, wow, if I was in a band or if I was a solo artist and I did that song, I could retire on it. And it was a deep cut on the 3121 record or any of those albums that came out in the aughts, or in the 90s and the aughts. But, you just kind of reminded me of something which is very interesting. And that is, well, first of all, you mentioned Dwayne Tudor, who is a great friend now. And he has 2 books because he did a second volume of his work. I
haven't read that one yet. Yep.
Yeah, 84 to 85. I highly recommend it. They were instrumental in making sure I knew where Prince was for those years, which was very good for me. And then also to remind me about who played on what, because also the impetus for this book was to give a lot more, shine a lot more light on the musicians around him. Not just the Revolution. I call the book Revolution, not The Revolution, but Revolution because he was constantly changing. He was constantly breaking down barriers, but he also used his bandmates to not only protect him, lift him up when he was on stage, to be his warriors. I refer to it in my book as the band is family, family is the band, because he had a very rough childhood and not a very good family life, and then he made one, and these people were very much part of it. But how much they added to the music, and they gave him ideas or bass lines, or they helped him woodshed these songs. So I was trying to shine a light on that as well. So Dwayne was a huge help, and he went over my book and made sure I got the names right and the dates right. So he was a big help. And I also want to mention Andrea Swenson, who used to work for the Prince Estate, did their official podcast. She did a fantastic job on their official podcast. Whenever they'd have a box set, she would interview everybody and promote it. So, and then she wrote this great book about Gotta Be Something There, about the history of Minneapolis music. That was also very big because Prince didn't get, I know he liked to have myths, but it didn't just come out of nowhere, right? Yeah. He had to come from something, nature, nurture. And I dive deeply into that. So you learn a lot about the history of Minneapolis music, where that music came from, and why Prince was able to never be just this kind of artist. He had to be everything. He never wanted to be pigeonholed. A lot of that was born and bred in Minneapolis.
It's funny. When you just said that in Minneapolis music, I'm like, who else is in Minneapolis? And I think of the old Chris Rock joke when he would talk about people and no black people in Minnesota except for Kirby Puckett and Prince.
That's it.
And I'm like, that mind.
Yeah. 94% Caucasian.
Yeah, imagine that.
It's called Vermont. Right? Basically. So what I wanted to ask you about is, and I'm specific, is like his collaborations were fantastic. So you hear he wrote a song, Sinead O'Connor. Wait a minute. No, he wrote the song with Sheena Easton. Wait a minute. No, he did a song with the Bangles. Wait a minute. But there was something that was supposed to happen with him and Michael Jackson in the 80s. Can you give me a little bit something about his collaborations and if you know anything about that story?
Yeah, so everything you just mentioned, there's only 2 things that Prince did all the time.
Yep.
Number one, he did all the music or all the background stuff, and then he'd get the vocalist in and then coach him through it.
Yep.
Or he wrote the song and just sent it to them. So that's the case of the Bangles. In the case of Sinead O'Connor, she just discovered that song and then threw it on her record. So she never even met Prince. She met him later, and she claims, that he chased her through the woods or something. I don't remember that story. Yeah, it's a famous story. As you look it up, it's crazy.
On his little motorcycle, beep, 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 beep.
I have no idea. But I no doubt he did something crazy, but the way she describes it doesn't seem like him. But I'm sorry, you're going to say, Zeus?
No. I was just saying. And then what's the other one there that he did? Sheena Easton's collaboration.
Yes. Sugar Walls.
Oh, yeah. Sugar Walls, baby.
Right. Yeah. Which, by the way, you got to give him credit. 2 of the Filthy 15 from the PMRC is Prince songs.
That's right.
Yes, Darling Nikki and Sugar
Darling
Walls.
Nikki and
Yes.
Yeah, that's
now,
right.
what about the Michael Jackson story?
Yeah, so I cover from 79 to 86.
Yep.
So a couple of Michael Jackson things. I cover which was a lot of fun to write about, very deeply, his refusing to sing on We Are the World.
Yes, that's what I was thinking of. Thank you. That's where my mind was going. Yes.
They mentioned that in that amazing documentary, The Greatest Night in Music or whatever it is about that.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. That was a huge scandal. I remember it as if it was yesterday. And, but as I put in my book, and if you read my book, you'll know why. It makes perfect sense. Mm-hmm. This guy was given full control of his music at 18 years old by Warner Brothers Music. Okay. Yep. This was not some jack around small label. This is one of the biggest labels in the world. They gave this kid full control. So he was not going to be produced by Quincy Jones. He had never sung on anybody's stuff unless he wrote it. Right. He did not write that song. Michael Jackson wrote it with Lionel Richie. And number 3, anytime he sang, he would hang a microphone over the console and kick even the engineers out. He never cut a track with any human beings in the room. So you tell me how the hell Prince Rogers Nelson is going to stand with 46 other people and sing someone else's song produced by Quincy Jones? Is
not going to happen. Yeah, no. Right.
That's fantastic.
That is sick.
But that's somebody that I know my worth. I know my talent. I don't need this stuff. And that's somebody that's built up that, confidence in himself that he can get away with that. Right?
Yes, right. And so he offered to play a guitar part, but they didn't want that. They actually wrote parts for him to sing. They wanted everybody's voices on there. Yep. Then he writes a song for the Tears in Your Eyes for the album, which they put it on the We Are the World album. And then he performs it with Wendy Malvoin and Lisa Coleman from The Revolution for the big July Live Aid thing.
Yep.
And I quote a great story. Susan Rogers, one of his many overworked engineers, during the Purple Rain tour, he recorded that song with the band on the stage. Then he went into a truck parked outside after playing a full concert and produced that song with her. And she said, we had warm soda, ham sandwiches, and flat pretzels, stale pretzels. Meanwhile, we're reading about how Bruce Springsteen and everybody else get $15,000 catered with their own limos in a cushy studio. So Prince did give towards the thing. He just didn't do the thing he just could not do, which is stand in a room with a bunch of people and sing a song, someone else's song. He just couldn't do it.
Yeah, that's a great story.
One thing about Prince that's interesting, and unless you're a Prince fan or unless you're like us that are constantly talking about music, or James like you that's writing about music, it's funny. People that are like casual Prince fans, and I'm not saying I'm a Prince savant by any stretch, okay? But casual Prince fans, I find it fascinating that a lot of them don't know or are unaware that he is regarded as one of the all-time great guitar players. Yeah. Not just like a pop performer, but when you look, and since his passing, thankfully, I feel like that's really reached the masses with the internet when you see like list of this and list of that. And I always go to that Rock and Roll Hall of Fame performance when he just blows everybody off. Might be one of my favorite clips ever. When they all look like little kids looking at like something they've never seen. They're in awe as he just blows them away. And I find that fascinating that while he was being Prince, quote unquote, he was the pop star. He was the superstar. He was the sing along, dance along guy. And then I feel like the legend of him being this epic guitar player kind of grew out of that. Does that sound? Because I feel like when I was growing up listening to him, you never imagined him. But then you go and listen to like some of these guitar solos, like the solo in like Let's Go Crazy or even Purple Rain. It's like, what the hell?
Yeah, and even on his second album, when as I opine in the book, I believe he recorded his second album with the band in mind. The thing that's very interesting about Prince is, and this is the key to my book, is he always played with a band. All his videos had the band in it.
Yes.
He toured, he went into the clubs, he played places like the Ritz and the Bottom Line and Cleveland and Chicago. He didn't do the solo artist thing with the disco ball over his head and the spotlight and a bunch of studio cats behind him. He had a band, and he like I said, he woodshedded that band and he toured with that band. He always had bands, which I love. Mm-hmm. The second thing, and I write about this again intensely in my book, and thank you guys for asking these questions because I haven't talked about this specific stuff before. Mm-hmm. And that is, I mentioned this once in an interview, but I talk about the lineage of Prince from Little Richard and Sam Cooke and Chuck Berry, Fats Domino, through Jimi Hendrix, getting to Prince. Now, what Prince did throughout his whole career, but he underlined it deeply at the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. He's wearing a blue, red pinstripe suit with the red bowler hat. What he's doing there, he's recreating the Chitlin Circuit guitar player. He is bringing you back. He's saying, and he's always said this, and this is my theory for the book, I'm reminding you who invented this stuff. This is where it came from. It came from New Orleans, and it came from the Deep South, and it came from the Chitlin Circuit. And we did this stuff, Johnny Christian and all these people way back before everybody even knew what rock and roll was.
Yep.
These were guys who played guitar like this. And I think him up there with all these white rock and rollers in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, which is, run by a bunch of rich white guys, let's face it. And he's just saying, hey, this is where this stuff came from. And I feel like that's what he was doing early throughout his whole career, specifically in the 80s, because everybody's like, well, you can't have a multi-gender. Now, I know Sly and the Family Stone did it, and obviously Parliament. There were a lot of crossover groups. Prince was different, though, man. He was doing new wave music. You mentioned Dirty Mind. It sounds like a new wave band. What he did with the New Romantics in 1999, he's playing stuff like Ultravox and all these bands that were coming in over Europe. As far as I was concerned, when I was young, that was completely new new information, orally or sonically. So when he played that solo, that's what I see. I see a man taking the mantle back.
Nice.
Wow.
Love it.
Now, I know that when people, I shouldn't say I know, but I can imagine you find a target you want to discuss. Like, I'm assuming, like, you don't dislike Prince or Hey Jude or Kiss Destroyer. Okay. You like this. Yeah. So when you did the book for Prince, was there any like, wait a minute, I didn't know this puts you back? Or did you find something that, I actually like him more? Like, where did your level go? Was there any part that made you go like, gee, I didn't realize he had this issue, or gee, I didn't realize he was this much better? Has your fandom grown, decreased, the same? How is it?
I would say it's about the same. I knew some of this stuff. People are not going to get their minds blown. If you're like you, Zeus, and you're familiar with some of his work, and you're not really a big fan, you read this book, you will learn the process of how this guy and why this guy was important. Yeah, and that's the important thing. So there's not any. I don't spend a lot of time on his personal life. There's not any revelations about this or that. You have to put it in there because it happened, and it does affect the music. A lot of his torch songs were written about women in his life that broke his heart or that he was trying to impress. I mean, he's just like any of us, right? Using the music to communicate. And since he was a little kid, shy, reserved little kid, music was his only, every musician to play with him said he only spoke with music. We could not get through to this guy. So he always used it. Yeah. So I knew this stuff, but I would say there were a lot of parts, and this is true of Warren Zevon, this is true of everybody that I've written about. There's all these flaws. And it makes them so human. The great myth of Prince, like you said, everyone looking at him in awe as he plays the solo in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. He's a flawed human being. There were many, many times he didn't give people credit where they should have gotten credit. But then other times he was overly generous, and he would put Morris Day wrote all the Time songs, and Vanity, wrote all the Vanity, and they didn't do anything, but he was trying to create these myths. And so he was myopic. He was mean-spirited at times. He had mood swings like you wouldn't believe. The people in the revolution, especially Wendy, would always say we'd have a different, we'd call him something different. Like Marilyn was the person that was I want to be alone character. Then there was one, they made fun of him because he used to do a great George Jefferson. But whenever he was mad, they'd go, here comes George, and they'd bust his chops, And they said when he walked into a room,
you knew.
He said, big up. He was not in a good mood. You picked up your instruments and you played. If he said, hey, everybody, let's try something new, they were like, whew, we got the nice guy today. So you didn't know what you were going to get with this guy. And look, when he pitched the movie idea, what I call, in quotes, the movie idea for Purple Rain, it was right after the 1999 tour. As you guys said, he finally became a star with Little Red Corvette on MTV. And he went to his managers who stood by him for his 3-album deal that he almost got kicked off of Warner Brothers for. And he said, I'll re-up with you guys, but you need to get me a major production company. I want to be the star on the top of the poster, even though no one knows who the hell I am. I want to shoot this thing in Minneapolis, and I don't want anybody who knows anything about movies to be in it or write it. I mean, it was tough to be around this guy.
Yeah,
so Zeus, some of it was like, ooh, you know, but that's what makes it so much fun to write about. It's a full scope of colors, and nobody. The old thing is you hate the man or love the art, or you could separate those things. You hear rumors about people. There are things, and obviously a lot of stuff happened in the 40s and 50s and 60s that were a completely different milieu than 2025. But I found that his flaws were a huge part of how he was able to create that art. And if that's how the art got done, if that's how that music got done, then I guess we're better for it.
Mm. James, I want to ask you about just generally about your books and your kind of like your process, I guess, for lack of a better word. So one of the many things I love about your books is that you take it's very cool, and I don't know if there's any authors that do it. Like, you didn't write a book about Kiss. You wrote a book about Destroyer. You didn't write a book about the Beatles. You wrote a book about Hey Jude. You didn't write a book about Prince. You wrote a book about a time period of the revolution. Like, I love that. I think that is so unique because there are so many authors out there, and they're good. Like, okay, here's a 752-page book on Led Zeppelin.
Yeah. From
Jimmy Page in the third grade until Jimmy Page wrote In Through the Outdoor or whatever. You know what I mean? Which is great. But I love your process because it really it carves out a period in that artist, and you just sink your teeth into all that. Do you find that more difficult, or is that easier because you're taking a section of a legendary artist and focusing on just that section? You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, for me, it's a good question too, Tom. For me, and I told you guys this about the Destroyer book. I had always gotten in so many conversations with great rock albums of the 70s. No one brought Kiss albums up ever. Yeah. And I always loved Destroyer, and I think it's a masterpiece. I'm sorry. And I thought a book should be written about that. That was my only motivation for that, for sure. And I read those books. I read those 700-page books, and I review them, and I love really great biographers, and I think what they do is just laudable. I just can't do it. What I find is, and I tell people this all the time, my process is simply this. Pick something you really want to write about because you want to learn about it. You want to know about it. Mm-hmm. Then convince yourself it's worth 2 years of your life. Then you convince yourself of this. Then you start doing the research and see if you could actually write this thing. Mm-hmm. Then when you get enough research, you say, like for the case of Hey Jude, can I write a book about one song? Then you have to convince the publisher to buy it. Mm-hmm. To give you an advance and put it out. And then when you're writing it, you have to convince your editors. They have to read it and go, okay, because what good editors will do is they'll say, James, we don't get what you're saying here. Are you saying this? Then you know you have failed, and you have to go back and restructure that. So there's so many people that there's so many different barriers that I have to leap to get a book to the end game. So to me, if you concentrate on one specific thing and you really want to get, like I said, I really wanted to get the story of Prince in the 80s out. Then I found out how friggin' cool it was and how huge he was and how he got there and how all these people around him helped in one way or the other. That's when you hit gold. Then you're like, okay, I could do this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I will tell you, if you're going to do something about Prince, you hit the sweet spot for someone like me. That's the Prince that, that I knew and everything, like that was all over the radio and was just, as a young kid, a pop icon that was above everything. I love that kind of stuff. Anything that you want, if I'm saying, why do I want to buy this book? Hey, Loudcasters listening, why do we want to buy this book about Prince? Sell me and sell everybody else out there. Because, I can tell them all day. It's a great topic. James is a great writer. It's a great book. Buy it. James, anything you want to tell to them while listening?
Yeah, thank you. And it's just this. all your listeners, and I think a lot of them probably are Kiss fans. They came to you that first, and then you have all your shows. By the way, I've been in all three. So not only am I a Shout It Out Loud Hall of Famer, I have now been in all three of your shows.
That is true. You did a Rod Stewart episode on ARC.
Yep.
And now you're here. We've had you on many times for Kiss. You booked Destroyer. That's right.
Yes.
So
that's right.
he's not a Shout It Out Loudcast Hall of Famer. He's also a Grand Slam champion.
That's right.
Because he's been on all three. I think that's going to be a new thing we're going to do.
That's right. I think that's a pretty unique honor, but go ahead.
The gauntlet. So I would say all the people that listen to these shows, I realize that Prince is almost a niche artist. Like you said, after his huge fame in Purple Rain, and that turned a lot of people off. They didn't like it. It was too big. He became a pop artist. He's dancing around with his shirt off. I understand that sometimes he could be a bit much, right? And girls hanging off of him, and he went through that whole thing, right? But I wrote it for people like that because I'm telling you, if it was so interesting for me, you'll get a huge kick out of this guy's dedication to not only making hit music, but like I said to you before, paradigm shifting music and changing the way people thought about music and lyrics. I call the first part of the book Uptown Rising. He had a song called Uptown, which was on Dirty Mind. And it's his manifesto. He looks at Uptown as almost like Paisley Park. And he actually built a place called Paisley Park. But the song Paisley Park is really it's like Strawberry Fields Forever. It's not real. It's a place you go to. And Uptown was this place where anybody can do whatever they want and they're not judged for it. And Prince always said, bigotry is bad, not on the bigot, but the bigots are the ones that are losing out, and you could be a bigot on anything. I'm not just saying like racial or gender or.
Oh yeah.
I'm saying if you don't dig a certain kind of music, I don't listen to country music no matter what. I don't go to that neighborhood no matter what. I won't go to the city because of this. You're missing out. You might miss something cool about that. And Prince was always that guy. He was like the guy who was leading you, Sacagawea, just leading you out into. And he did this. Look,
Sacagawea. You're
good
bringing
reference.
Out
that is a Shout It Out Loudcast first, right there, James.
Yes.
I can tell you that.
I was going to do Lewis and Clark, but where would they be? They were walking in circles without that woman. So he was out there. He was out there, breaking new, like I said, breaking new barriers. I say this all the time, and people will remember this. And if they don't, I want you to read the book, and your mind will be blown. When I heard "When Doves Cry," which, by the way, was the #1 song in America all year in 1984. It was the #1 song, right?
That's insane.
Grammy, it won the Oscar.
Yeah.
Okay. That song is a freak show. Okay, you talk about good vibrations. You talk about Strawberry Field. Listen to go when you're done listening to this, everybody, go put on When Doves Cry. The full version. The album version. That thing is a freak show. From the opening guitar crazy noise Hendrix thing to the Mozart piano part that ends this. It's insane. And that was a huge hit. And don't sleep on this either. This is what I'm saying. I'm answering Zeus's question. This is why you read the book. Did anybody here, and I didn't know this, only 3 artists in the history of popular music has ever had the #1 song, the #1 album, and the #1 film in America. Elvis Aaron Presley, the Beatles, and Prince.
Makes perfect sense.
That's insane.
That's insane.
You mean Kiss didn't have that? With
what about Kiss Meets the Phantom of the Park in 1978 and Peter Criss's solo album? I mean, right there, that's a trifecta for 1978. What are you talking about?
Me?
We might need to research that, James. That's your next book, the Kiss solo albums.
Your guys' Ace story was fantastic. Yeah, I mean, there's nothing better than when you guys get out of this cocoon and you go out into society.
Yeah. I love first of all, I'm picturing that. It's like me and Zeus breaking free and going out into the world.
Yeah. When you guys
wait until our Vegas trip.
Let me tell you, gentlemen, that is going to be it's so funny. I would never in a billion years go to anything like that. Not because I don't like Kiss or anything, but it's expensive and it's just a lot of people around, and I don't like Kiss the way you guys do.
We don't either.
I don't like Kiss people.
Yeah, we don't either, James.
We don't even like Kiss anymore.
I don't even know why we're going.
What you're talking about.
But that's my point.
Yeah.
You guys make it sound so much fun. It's like I almost went on the website to see how much it was because
do
we're
that.
all going to get together. We're gonna have our own group, and that group's just going to work its way like some disease right through the whole thing.
That's exactly right. It's going to be a virus.
We're going to get the dirty looks. The people, there they are. Oh, who cares? You know what? Have fun with it. And, when we have people like you on, and
love it.
Up the place with a little bit more class and respect, and you come on here, we love it, buddy. We love you. But, sometimes I feel like, damn, we keep bringing James down to our level.
No.
He doesn't want to come down to this part.
No, I have the absolute best time with you gentlemen. And we
love it.
We're all big fans. My daughter, we're all big fans of you guys here. And
we appreciate you, buddy.
Oh, please.
I know Tom has another question, so I don't want to lose track.
Sure.
Oh, no, it's okay. Yeah.
I just wanted to give people behind the scenes for a second.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Zeus is always so nice to me. Whenever he texts me, he's like, we appreciate you listening to the show and thank you for coming on. Like, I'm doing you guys a favor. It's an honor to be on this with you.
Dude, we're almost like embarrassed, dude. James is listening to us. We're doing Ace pooping in a hot tub jokes and
we just spent 20 minutes on beef stroganoff. What are we doing?
We literally did about the damage that could happen to a family on a Sunday afternoon.
I love it. Only you guys can talk about something and just give it huge accolades. And then in a 30-second period, you are crapping on it. And with such fervor.
Yeah. I love that.
It gives me whiplash. Sometimes,
it gives us whiplash too. But one thing I wanted to ask you, so if you can give a spoiler, which I'm prepared for you to say that you can't, or you might not even have an answer. So you got this book; it just dropped a month ago. You're reveling in it, you're celebrating it. We're all celebrating it. Have you even thought about what's next yet?
Yeah, this one was late.
Okay.
And I could talk to you guys off the air, but the only reason I'm not saying what it is because it might not come to fruition. And I got bitten in the butt by doing my book with Adam Duritz, and I love Adam, and we work together all the time.
Counting Crows guy.
Counting Crows, yeah, that's fantastic.
That's his buddy.
Yeah,
we did a podcast together called Underwater Sunshine for years.
Yeah.
And he's going to join me with Rob Sheffield and the guys from Fantastic Cat at the Underwater Sunshine Festival in November. We're going to be doing a roundtable on this book.
Okay.
From 6:30 to 7:15 at the Cutting Room.
Nice.
And I'm fairly sure, actually, guys, I'm going to be meeting Peter Criss because I think he's going to be doing a pre-show appearance the night before.
He does all this shit at the Cutting Room.
Yeah. It's a big ticket item. I think Elvis Costello's coming there, and that's the night before. My thing is small compared to that, but I only bring it up because you guys haven't shouted out loud and you're being Kiss fans. But so we're doing that together, and so I don't know why I just brought all this. Oh yeah, right. So I was doing a book with Adam, and because he's got his band and he's on the road, we finished working on it, and then he was working on it with me, but he has to approve everything because we have a partnership agreement for this book.
Yep.
So I get asked weekly for years, where's the book? Where's the book? Because he announced that we were working on this book. So I'm very, very scarred by that in a way where if I say something and the publisher has not bought the idea, they're interested in the idea. But it came very late this year, guys, because normally I do an overlap. But my wife always makes fun of me, but I always bring 2 books on vacation because I'll be reading something and then I'll get tired and I'll think, I'm not tired. I'm just tired of reading about this subject.
Yep.
So I put that down. I exhale, I have a drink of water, and then I open the next book and I'm revitalized. Right. So sometimes when I get more than halfway through a book, I start to think up the next one and start for fun writing notes on it.
Oh, nice. Okay.
It gets me through those real tough times when you hit this wall. You could keep writing. Yep. And normally I was way ahead of the game, but not this time. It took a long time but I am working on a new project. I always feel like I got to keep the engine humming because I'm always afraid I'm going to lose my publisher if I don't have a new thing, and once you get published, it's a difficult thing to do. I used to make fun of I'd say, I wasn't published till I was 32. Now I'm 63, so half my life I've been published, which is pretty good. At that time, when I was in my 40s, I thought, I should have been published earlier. I should have been you're working harder to get there, and it's difficult. You could be the best writer. You could be the best musician, have the best band, and not get a record contract. It's very rare. So I never want to sleep on that. I always want to have something to give them. And if they don't like it, I'll give them something else. There's a myriad of things I would love to write about in music.
Sure. So tell everybody where they can find this book, where they can get more James Campion.
Thank you. Yes. Well, as I always say, you could get signed copies at jamescampion.com. You can also, the book is available everywhere. You buy your books. Of course, Amazon, even though Zeus, right off the bat, Amazon sucks, but it is the big dog in the room. Barnes and Noble, the usuals. Yep. I always tell people go to independent bookstores. I'm not doing a book tour this time. So I used to like to go to do independent bookstores just to get people in there. You know what I mean? And support them. I might do a couple in the fall. And then I'm at James Campion, at Instagram. I have a Facebook page. For it, and Tom's so nice. He likes a lot of my stuff. Tom,
I always do. I do. Because I love you and I love Prince.
What do I shit on it?
I for some reason I always see Tom there. Do you? Oh, you do? I can't. I swear to God, Tom must
I'm
jump
the one
on it
sending
first.
you negative comments. This book sucks. Screw him.
Prince is terrible. Give me more Morris Day.
Oh, yeah.
Younger Love was better.
Do you go on Facebook much, Zeus?
I do to a point because Tom and I, because if we don't market ourselves, if we don't talk about it, if I didn't have this podcast, probably not much at all.
I wouldn't do it either, guys.
I post hockey stuff. My kid did something. Yeah. And that's really it. And food. Like if I made something, like that's really it. But for the podcast, I'm on it all the time. Because we're posting stuff and marketing stuff. Because if you don't do it, somebody else is marketing themselves.
Right.
You get left behind.
I know.
You gotta stay on top of it.
You become a promoter guy. I didn't get into this to do that, but and luckily I have an assistant and she's great, Jessica. But I can't have her do everything, and it's incumbent on me to stay, to stay connected. And I don't mean to complain. It is a good way for people to get a hold of me and be like, I really loved this book. I'm glad that you mentioned this, or whatever. It's at least you can stay in connection with your readers. And also I've been very fortunate. Most of the writers that I admire today, that I review their books and I'll put a book down and I will hit them up on Facebook or hit them up on Instagram and they will get back to me. And some of them become friends because of that. And it's just, to me, it's the most glorious thing to read a book and then be able to talk to the author.
Yeah, that's another thing that we love about you is that we love your books, and we've grown this friendship, and to have you on to talk about it, and then like I said, I can't wait to just plow through this and then just give you all my feedback and ask you more questions about it. So I'm excited. So
thank you. You guys are the greatest friends to my writing.
If it was written by anybody else, I wouldn't buy it. I wouldn't read it. It's written by you. I trust you. I like Prince enough that I would read it, and I know it's going to be interesting. And so to me, this is a no-brainer. You'd be surprised when we did the ARC Prince Purple Rain, we got a shit ton of people that listened to this show that said, I love Prince and this is the greatest. So people listening here, I'm telling you, they will support this book. And if James is a friend of the show, he's a Shout Out Loudcast Hall of Famer and Grand Slam champion.
Yes. I have run the gauntlet.
That's right. So everyone out there, please go support our friend James. Pick up his book. And we can't thank you enough for joining us, buddy. Always a pleasure seeing you. And, we'll bring you back soon enough to talk something stupid. Kiss or some other 70s band that I can get you on to jump on my ARC stuff. So we'll figure something.
Congrats on this book, brother. We're very excited for you. Can't wait. So thank you as always for joining us, my friend.
You guys are the best. Peace, everybody. Thank you.
All right. Tom, that was James Campion, author extraordinaire.
Yeah, his new book, Revolution. I'm a huge Prince fan. We both love James. Super excited. I love talking to James. I said this to Zeus after we finished up the interview I was just like, I just love that guy because obviously he's the experienced journalist, author, researcher, but Zeus and I, you listen to us, we do ARC. We love talking music and getting into the weeds. And
yeah, I find him to be so fucking interesting and fascinating. He knows his stuff. And I can't wait. I'm not a Prince fan, but like, I'm not a Prince hater, but I'm interested in the book. So that goes to show you. So go pick up James's book. As he said, jamescampion.com, Amazon, Barnes & Nobles, wherever you get your books. And till next time, peace out, Girl Scout. Oh, you over here? Yeah, I'm over here now.
Zeus, it's me. I want to end the show now.
Jesus Christ, Tom. Jesus Christ. Let's end the show now while we got the muscle.